chat for Flynn, guys. We might not be able to get him back in here after tonight. We might have to go visit him in the hospital or something for the aneurysm he's about to have. But yeah, so we're starting off with laundry and supply room. After Powerhouse banned Mira, that does make the downstairs bomb site a little bit more difficult to hold. It brings it back to a much older meta from before year 2, season 1, when Mira was introduced, and I enjoy it because it adds versatility to this map and it makes teams have to adjust accordingly. But at the same time, one of the big things that brought this map so heavily into the meta was having that downstairs site actually be so viable, because you would have a mirror down there. Now you've got teams that are adjusting by having smokes that specialize in playing that closet area without a mirror window there to support them, or you'll have some incredibly heavy roamers playing upstairs. And I actually kind of want to bring up what Sweater just did. So one thing we don't see too often is that second wall reinforced along classroom there. Opening it up with some soft breachers does give you a bit more potential for some various different angles. It gives you a much deeper angle you can peek to look towards the closet and the entrance into the closet. But typically you won't see a reinforcement put there. You'll just have a soft wall. People will open it up with a soft breach. But we could see some waste of utility here. Snappy has the thermite rather than a Habana. Habana wasn't banned, but they opted not to bring the Habana. So they only have the thermite for the hard breach. They're getting some drones upstairs right now. Aim on that glass. It's going to drone out. I believe that was Sweater playing upstairs towards the bedroom. Not loading is going to find EXO. And actually, not actually sure where EXO was. Maybe it was EXO that was hanging up towards the bedroom there. And a lot of aggressive play coming out from Disrupt early on. Dot Dash is going to find the kill onto Aim. So it was Dot Dash who was playing up there. There was a player inside over by Dorm's main hall. And Dot Dash is actually going to escape from that fight. If he shot through that wall there, he might have been able to land a shot on the not loading, who's sitting around half health right now. But the callouts weren't there. The information wasn't there for them. So not loading is going to make it away with his life. First minute of the round has already gone by. One member has fallen from both teams, and there's a lot of potential for a smoke plant here, because you got not loading with the smoke bolts from his crossbow there, and you've got glass. You would have had glass with the smoke grenades, but losing that glass early on because he was trying to entry frag an armory is going to be pretty costly for them. Bolo on the pulse in the position we see him so frequently playing, hanging out inside a laundry room, just giving the call-outs to his team whenever he's able to. I don't believe they have any roamers left hanging out all the way upstairs, so a lot of the attackers just kind of maintaining control on that main lobby area and making sure that they can secure that map control before they go for a push onto site. I don't think the hatch has been opened yet, so the hatch has not yet been opened. It's going to be opened up right now. It's going to force Bolo out of position. He's going to get a C4 up there. It's going to go off, but it's not actually going to grab a kill. 50 seconds left on the clock. Powerhouse getting themselves into position to go for the execute, and Dot Dash is actually going to find Coda. So now Dot Dash is known in meeting. Sweater finds the headshot onto not loading. It's a 2 versus 4. Snappy and Flynn are left here to try to clutch it out for Powerhouse. Disrupt securing a lot of map control by getting those kills there. Snappy sitting inside of lobby. Flynn was upstairs by attic. He has dropped into meeting. He goes for the gunfight against Dot Dash, but Dot Dash is going to find him. Dot Dash now just below quarter health is going to get shot down by Snappy. 1 versus 3 with less than 20 seconds on the board. Bolo in position to go for the shots. He sees the tip of the gun. He goes for the shot, but he's not actually going to land at the shots from Snappy, bring Bolo to half health. Bolo goes for another peek. He's just quick peeking left and right now, going for the shots, and he's going to land it, and that's going to be it's going to be Disrupt taking round 1. I think the team titles might have gotten a little messed up there.
Yeah, I'm still loading in at the moment, but it seems like it is stable for the time being. So I can actually see things now, which is fantastic. So it does look like Disrupt were the ones to win the first match there. And off to a decent start on Oregon. We'll see if Powerhouse decide to change up their strategy at all for this defense, but of course, Disrupt have to go upstairs into the kids' dorms for this next attack.
Yeah, so the team names are backwards, but we are going to kind of stick through this. So make a mental note for yourselves there, guys, that Disrupt. Yeah, just pay attention to what's up top. The overlay is correct. In-game settings got slightly messed up. RIP Felipe for being banned due to toxic behavior. We're
And
moving
now-
into round 2 now, and Disrupt was fairly dominant during that round. The entire length of that, they played incredibly aggressively, which I say incredibly, but it's Disrupt. It's the way that they always play, and it's not overly surprising, but it's always impressive to see how well they manage to maintain themselves while playing with that aggression.
Even if you are a team that's aggressive pretty often, it might become a little bit predictable, but you have more options if you try to be the aggressor than you do if you try to be the defender. So even though it might not catch the opponents off guard that you are being aggressive, the way that you're aggressive could be different. You could be peeking a different angle that you don't normally look through. You could be just pushing in through a situation where you frankly just shouldn't be pushing in. Sometimes it'll come down to being aggressive through just having your team cover different angles and letting you challenge a certain angle. There are a lot of different options that you can do as an attacker, or sorry, on either side, attack or defense, when you are playing aggressive. So even though the act of being aggressive itself might not catch teams off guard, the way you do it is how you change it up, and Disrupt seem to be pretty good at that.
Speaking of changing it up, I think there's only one defender upstairs right now. Maybe it's two. Yeah, two now. Yeah, so there's two defenders upstairs right now. But for the first 30 seconds of this round, there was only one defender that was playing upstairs, and it didn't seem like Powerhouse was able to get that intel soon enough, because they probably would have been able to walk straight on the site. Not loading is going to find the first kill of the round onto Exo. Gonna be castled off the board, and the C4 comes out from the Valkyrie to open it up. She goes for the peaks, and Sweater is gonna find the shots onto aim. Glaz will fall, putting it to a 4 versus 4 as Dot Dash now takes down Flynn. Sweater at half health has fallen back onto site, and he's just got to play it safe while the rest of his team does what they're doing.
Yep, and one thing that's really cool when you are playing the kids' dorms defense is that your roamers basically have the basement section of the map almost for free to rotate between. There are 2 staircases, so they're a little bit limited in terms of where they can pop out of, but it is still a tool for roamers to use as rotations. And we sort of see that in Villa 2. There is no bomb site that is actually on the bottom floor, and there are a lot of situations where the bottom floor might not even be used. The basement just goes completely uncontested, and that's basically a roamer's dream because they can pop out either side and have Dot Dash trying to take a 1v1 with Coda, but neither of them are really going to get much damage off-down on each other. Powerhouse healing, not loading, picking him back up off the ground, and we are in a 3v4 situation. Powerhouse have the diffuser, but there is only 45 seconds left, and they are a man down, so not loading is going to see what he can do to try to get an easy pick. They do still have their thermite up. Oh, this wall is actually already down, so he has done his job already.
And it's very risky for them to try to push in and go for an immediate plant inside a generator, though, because a lot of that floor has been opened up. It looks like they're focusing on some aggression towards site to try to get rid of the Valkyrie. Sweater does get the shots on a not loading, though. Vayne is going to find Snappy. It's a 1 versus 4, and Coda will fall to Sweater, and that is going to be Disrupt with their second dominant round in a row.
So you mentioned it during our first map of the day, where if you're attacking kids' dorms, it's an incredibly hard site to attack if you're all just trying to come from the same angle. You need to open up something else. You need to open up the dorm's windows, or you need to open up main window, or you need to have at least a little bit of control over attic, though that one's not as important because you don't really get a flanking angle from that. But if you send your entire team up the stairways right outside of Armory, then it becomes basically a choke that you're pushing through. And even though you go around to the other side, you thermite open the dorm's wall, it still ends up being a situation where you are attacking into an area that the opponent doesn't really get flanked from. they can watch 2 angles and basically have you covered. So you definitely need to vary up your offense, try to attack from multiple different angles, or at the very least just shoot out all the windows. Make them think that you're coming from different angles. Make them double think themselves. Second guess themselves. There you go.
I like double think themselves better. I have to admit. I like it. I like it.
I do like 1984. Good book.
But yeah, I mean, there's also if you open up the windows from outside of kids' dorms, you have a solid angle where you can look towards the top of White Stairs. Or if you're able to get somebody in from the bottom of Small Tower, you can make your way towards White Stairs, get up there, and prevent someone from holding the top of White Stairs. Give yourself the ability to cut off anybody that might try to push, anything like that. And it's not just this map. It's not just that bomb site. In any map, any bomb site in this game, you need to pinch. This is one I've helped out various different teams before. That my main point to them was pinch. Split the defender's aim because that's your only potential to be able to win the fights against them, because they just kind of have to sit where they are. You need to force them into an uncomfortable position if you really want to be able to win this. So you need to pinch, split their aim, make them look in multiple different angles, push from several different places, and make sure that you have full control over the areas that you're pushing from. Otherwise, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage because, like I said, the defenders just got to chill there and wait for you to walk into their gunfire.
And Coda gets the first pick of this round onto Bolo, and that is the Pulse Down, which is a pretty big frag, so Coda's going to be happy about that one. Traded most of Not Loading's life for it, however, so they might be looking to reset him fairly soon. They still have 2 minutes left in the round, so he could frankly reset himself however he wants. But he's actually just going to keep challenging the angle and get picked off very quickly. It was a headshot, so it wouldn't really matter how much health he has. Dot Dash gets a second one as he kills Flynn. Aim gets a headshot onto Sweater. And Aim is one of those other players on Powerhouse that we see frag out all the time. Coda's going ham once again, taking out Dot Dash off of the back of the counter rotation. And now we're sitting at a 3v2 situation. This is one of the best situations that Powerhouse have been in during this map so far. They don't have any smokes for this execute. They're going to have to rely on flashes, gun skill, and potentially trying to play some of the hatches in Meeting Hall.
I don't think they got the hatches open inside of Meeting Hall, and Snappy opened up that wall in Classroom, so there's only potential to be able to open up one of those. But it looks like the EU1B is going to go out, and nothing is actually going to be gained from that because none of the defenders moved at all. Vayne has his smoke canister still, so he just actually used his last one. Aim finds the headshot onto Vayne, though, and suddenly it's a 3 versus 1. Exo is left alone, and Aim is going to find the headshot onto him. Powerhouse is able to find a round to put themselves on the board.
In Powerhouse, that was a good play by Aim. He just held multiple different angles and won the gunfights. There's not too much else to say about that. He popped off. I think every one of his kills was a headshot as well. So that is something that speaks once again well to his aim as a player, I guess. Anyway.
I wanted to be the camera in here that made the bad joke. Dang it.
That was like, can we even count that as a joke? Because that's too obvious. You know what I mean?
It was a slight attempt. We'll say it was a slight attempt. Not a full-on joke, but a slight attempt at a joke. We'll go with that.
Only if you make sure it's a slight attempt, not even a full attempt.
Powerhouse actually looked pretty solid that round. They adapted the way that they needed to, and they made sure that they were able to cover flanks. They got a solid flank on the Dot Dash. Coda dropping that kill made a pretty big difference, especially after Dot Dash found 2 of them that were making their way into Attic. I want to say both Capitao and Bucks, so Not Loading and Flynn both were making their way into Attic when they got taken down by Dot Dash, who's performing very well so far tonight. 6-2 for him. So I mean, Powerhouse, you gotta be careful with that. You don't want to lose 2 players to the exact same angle. You want to make sure that if you're following your entry fragger, they were using Capitao as the entry fragger there. If you're following your entry fragger in and they die, you need to be in position to trade it off and not fall as well. It puts you in a much riskier position when you lose both people to that push there. And I mean, I think they got a little lucky with the shots onto, or with the flank from Coda onto Dot Dash. If that hadn't happened, I think that round could have gone the complete opposite way.
It definitely could have. Now we see a couple of walls being opened up as well as a few floors. Maestro's Bailiff, pretty good job at that. It's modeled after the Judge revolver shotgun pistol thing. But we do see there was a bandit trick in the in this southern reinforced wall here, but the floor has been opened up by Flynn. It's done his job as Buck, and now they're going to be able to challenge that as much as they need when Snappy goes for the full thermite charge plant.
Yeah, but it's up to Powerhouse at this point to really make sure they maintain control of downstairs and also not lose anyone inside a master bedroom. It looked like potentially Sweater was hanging pretty close around that corner again, and he did pretty well on that Valkyrie when he went for the push. Dot Dash gets the shots from above on the Flynn, bringing him down to about half health. Aim is fairly low himself, and you've got 2 players from Disrupt still maintaining control of the top of White's stair. So far, Powerhouse making the same mistake of just kind of funneling themselves in through this master bedroom.
Powerhouse are also taking it a little bit slowly. I don't think they know that Bolo was playing offsite. If they didn't, they probably do now, considering they're finally trying to break open through this wall. And here goes the Bolo. Let's see what he can do on the flank. They spotted Exo. Then that name, T-Hunt Bomber, always gets me off guard. But that is Exo, even though his in-game name is a little bit different. Vayne actually picks up the kill on the Flynn. That brings us to a 4v5, disrupting the first pick of the round. 1 minute left. We're going to start seeing Powerhouse's execution and see if they actually change anything up. Not loading is going to get a headshot. That's going to start it off.
The execute starts to come in with an EE1D going off. Some shots making their way down the hallway, hitting Sweater quite a bit. Smokes everywhere. He's trying to fire through the smoke, see if he can find anything, but nothing really connecting. The diffuser is going to go down. Disrupt very low on health all across the board with the exception of Bolo. Aim finds Exo now. Plant is down, and Disrupt has to go for the retake.
Bolo gets the first pick, gets a second as well as he comes up around a flank through the main lobby, and now he is actually the only one left. Goes out to push outside, but Snappy sees it coming from a mile away. He's already waiting for him after getting 2 picks that we see on the kill cam as well. It was very good. He's got his ears open right there. He turned around immediately after hearing Bolo run out into the open. So Powerhouse, that was a much better execution and definitely a much better fragging power. So their execution, they waited until they all stacked up. They didn't lose too many people before their execution. They smoked it out. They used an E1D to make sure no one could push up, and they got the plant down that way. So I think overall, Powerhouse are shoring up their communication and their strategy.
Yeah, and it puts them in a solid position. It's tied up for the first half right now, 2-2. So this is the last round of the first half. Powerhouse is on their attacking side, so if they're able to take an advantage after this first half, I could see them pushing through on their defensive side to try to take this first map. But it's definitely going to be a tough fight. We do have Disrupt heading upstairs again, so we'll see if they change something up a little bit this round, if maybe they're going to play a little bit more aggressive, because it seems like those aggressive plays are what really tend to make the difference with them.
Yeah, it seems to be a common theme for a lot of these matches in CCS, is that the team that plays more aggressive tends to win a couple of more rounds. So Dot Dash is actually tearing apart some of this floor here. I think for the most part he's basically priming it so that if a Buck does try to come in and take out these, or anyone with soft breach comes in to try to take out the bandit batteries, we have a good situation for someone to shoot down onto whichever player that is. And it doesn't expose the batteries for him to be shooting out that angle either. So I think this is a pretty smart play by Dot Dash, pretty smart setup on the defensive side from Disrupt.
I agree that it does give the vertical play to try to shut down a Buck or anybody that might go in there, but at the same time, I feel like it's more there to open up any of the common plant spots. You can see he didn't really open up against the wall. He opened up very far along both of the beds inside of bunk, and they opened up that corner right by the entrance from the armory hallway towards the generator hallway, as you could call it. So those are some of the more common plant spots. You can go for a smoke plant in there, and I think that's actually, that corner was where they had the plant down last round, although I could be mistaken about that. I think Sweater was trying to spray it down. But it gives a lot of ability for Disrupt to completely shut down a plant from below, and I think their main focus is going to be on maintaining complete control downstairs and forcing Powerhouse to have to focus on going straight to site.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a good point, one that I certainly missed a little bit. We do see a Jackal being played here by Flynn, so once again, he's a pretty powerful operator. C7E is a good gun. He's got his secondary shotgun, but looks like Exo's going to be able to pick up that kill. He gets another one on top of that. Headshot after headshot after headshot. He's going for another one, and he gets it. 4 kills down. Powerhouse, they got wiped that round.
That first kill onto, I want to say it was Snappy, just led to Exo. I believe it was Exo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Exo
His name is T Hunt Bomber, but
yeah,
it's Exo. I don't know why he does that to us. He hates us.
he's just living his life, man. But yeah, no, he just steamrolled them there.
Yeah.
He showed no fear, was peeking every angle. He went for that fight against the Lion as he was trying to reload his gun. And he just kind of sat there and said, no, this is my stage. And he held it very well.
Yeah, he got 3 out of the 5 picks in that round, and they were all one right after another, just challenging angle after angle. One of the fastest rounds we've seen in CCS in general, I think. That was insane. Definitely props to Exo there. So we do see an IQ here, which is something that I would have expected against, what was it, Sinister, considering Sinister was playing almost every defense. They were playing both Valkyrie and Echo. And I get that, you know, not having frags kind of hurts. But it's still a Valkyrie and Echo. That's such strong utility that you can just get off of the board if you have an IQ.
One of the nice things about the way that they could use IQ for this site is they can go below into Classroom and just shoot specifically the batteries.
That's true.
They have potential to do that without opening up any excess on the floor, which means they won't have to worry about Powerhouse going downstairs and taking advantage of something that Disrupt made. They do have the buck on Sweater, so you know they have potential to do that if they want to, but it's mostly at this point about Disrupt just opening up any options that they really want to.
We're seeing the offense has started. They're putting a lot of emphasis over here toward Kitchen. And again, Kitchen is a very strong spot. You've mentioned all night how there's a lot of verticality that you can put into play if you have control of Kitchen and the hallway directly outside of it. So a lot of Kids Dorm's defenses have shifted toward basically Kitchen being one of the main holes and where most of the fight comes from. A lot of spraying going on, but AIM just peeks around the corner and manages to take out Exo. So the IQ as an entry fragger might not be the best idea in this situation when you have a plan with her and the bandit batteries, but AIM actually gets taken down by Dot Dash, pushing an aggressive angle. And now Coda has to rotate out of there. He does not want to challenge multiple people. And I think they realize that pretty much the rest of the Disrupt team are coming from Bathroom.
That is a solid first minute of the round for Disrupt. They gained a lot of control downstairs. Snappy does shut down Vayne, and then Sweater trades it back on Nakoda. So, I mean, Disrupt right now in a solid position. A lot of control downstairs. I think that was a Habana shotgun we saw. So they're going for a lot of potential with soft breach here, which is kind of interesting to see. It's not something you'll see as a primary focus too often on, you know, say this map. If we were playing, and this is going to be a throwback, Favela, I would see prioritizing a lot of soft breach. But
yeah, I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's interesting because Hibana, she has her bearing 9 secondary, so in a way she's a little bit safe to take with the shotgun if she doesn't think she'll be fighting at long range and will need the ACOG on her main weapon. So on any operator to take a shotgun on, I think Habana's one of the better ones in that respect, if you know you're playing close quarters. If you think you'll be playing long range, then definitely take the ACOG.
It looks like Disrupt focusing on heading for this master bedroom take. There was a player sitting inside of attic right here, and there's also another player sitting right by that doorway, but Dash is going to take the kill onto Flynn, and he's going to find not loading. It's up to Snappy, left alone on site. 30 seconds. He still has his toxic babes. He can use those to kind of deny entry for the last 30 seconds here, but it's going to be really risky. Flashbangs are going to come out, and he's actually going to drop the hatch, and it looks like he's going to start going for a flank here. There's lots of pings on the players that are on site. I believe the Habana is going to make her way out of attic and get shut down immediately. Snappy going in for the flank. He's going to go to the class. He's going to get the headshot on the Bolo. It's up to Sweater left on site. Now he's going for the shots, brings Snappy down to about a quarter health. A smoke canister is going to come out, and now you've got Sweater pinned down towards the top of the white stairwell. Snappy goes for the peek, but Sweater is going to find the shots, and Disrupt will take round 6.
That was a close one, but I do think it was also smart play by Snappy. In a 1v3 situation, immediately he decides not to challenge any of it and instead goes for a rotation out of there. He acts as like a really late game roamer, and I think that's the best he could have done in his situation. Because if you do that, you're giving up some control over the room you're in sight, but playing anchor when you're down 1 to 3 is really tough because the attackers can get whatever angles they want on you. When you have 3 attackers, it's versus 1 defender. You can just hold every angle. You don't need to worry about it at all. So in order to keep the advantage in his favor, because he had the element of surprise, and we definitely saw that there as I forget who it was. I think it was Vayne, or it might have been Sweater, but the Habana was basically pushing out of attic with her back turned. Wasn't expecting the flank at all, and that's what you want to do in those sort of 1vx situations. Is you want to be a player with the game sense to say, all right, this is what they expect me to do. The only advantage I have right now is unpredictability. It's the element of surprise, so you have to use that to the best of your advantage, and I think Snappy did a great job of it right there. At the very end, it came down to a 1v1. Snappy was at a disadvantage because he had to push into the diffuser, and they knew where he was. So at that point, it just comes down to whether or not he could get the frag, and he couldn't. But I still want to say that was a smart play by him.
I think if he wasn't at the long angle against Sweater at the end there, things would have been a little bit better. And he used 1 smoke canister to delay the immediate push on the site, which bought him time to go for the flank. So, I mean, he tried his hardest. He did as best as he could there, and you know, I have to commend him for that. But one thing I do want to note right now is I promised you guys a roast tonight, and Flynn is providing. He's actually going to be catering the event with some nice donuts that he's got right now. So at least we've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, and even during the last round, we saw Flynn went for a very aggressive peek before his teammate in attic was really ready to push out either. And so we saw Dash was able to just get 2 kills right away because of it. So Flynn peeked out. It was a heads-up gunfight. It could have went either way. But if he would have waited a little bit longer for his teammate to be ready to actually push out of attic, Dash wouldn't have been able to kill both of them 1 by 1. He would have had to basically spray it down. He was busy reloading for half of it. But EXO manages to get the first kill around meeting room. So Disrupt are already pushing in. They've already taken control of meeting hall. And that's not what you want as a defender. 2 minutes left in the round.
Yeah, this is Disrupt's classic attack on downstairs. Though they go really aggressive, get a lot of control on tower and you know, that meeting hall. But AIM does shut down Sweater, which denies the buck. So it's a couple of frag grenades that are going to be off the board now. Actually, no frag grenades left on any of the operators of Disrupt. And Coda now will fall to EXO as well. It's a 3 versus 4, and the IQ entry frag is working out for them this round as EXO goes for some more shots, but he's going to miss him. Snappy gets the kill onto Vayne, running back onto site and hiding in the closet there. Dash does find Flea now, and AIM takes out Dash. It's a 2 versus 2. EXO very low on health. Thatcher will drop through the hatch. Snappy gets the kill onto EXO, and then AIM finds Bolo, and that is going to be Powerhouse taking yet another round for themselves. So I think it's going to be 3-4 right now in favor of Disrupt.
Yeah, Disrupt got a little bit overconfident, I think, after EXO got his first couple picks as IQ. They didn't push in together. They didn't hold crossfires. They just sort of walked in one at a time. They dropped hatches without dropping hatches at the same time or timed well with, say, EXO peeking the main stairs. So Disrupt, I think, just got a little bit too overconfident after those first couple picks and just rode the adrenaline, basically.
Yeah, they made some weird choices, especially with they had a lot of control over towards rear stage. They opened up that construction or the bunker wall into electric room, and then they did nothing with that section after that. They kind of rotated off, tried to go for a shock factor push, I think, and I mean, aim on that Maestro is really dangerous to go up against. He will just sit there and keep firing, and he manages to land his shots on you, and it makes it really tough to go for an aggressive shock factor push when you've got 85 rounds, or 81 rounds, excuse me, just being thrown straight at your face.
That's true. I did more math. If Disrupt win both of their games, they are first. The amount of rounds that Sinister dropped during their during the match that we saw earlier actually made it so that since in CCS you always, no matter what, have to win by at least 2. If Disrupt win both of their games, they are up 8 rounds no matter what. Because you need to win 2 rounds per map, and you need to win 2 maps to take a series. So that's basically what's on the line. Disrupt need to win this game to start that upheaval, and they need to win their game against Armada as well. But they don't have to worry about their round differential at all. They just need to win both of the games.
And I mean, it's Disrupt, so I can't say that they don't have the ability to do it. They definitely do, and I think it's just going to come down to how hard they're willing to fight to ensure that they manage to get the first place seed. Vayne with a beautiful entry headshot on Dakota, gets traded back by aim, and the Nexo trades it back immediately. It's a 3 versus 4 now in favor of Disrupt, as Vayne he got knocked out of the game. That's how heavy that shot was.
Yeah. Luckily, it happened after he died and not before, so he'll be happy with that a little bit. And Flynn getting a quick peek, but he's not able to land the shots. Just takes a little bit of damage onto Dot Dash. And now at this point, he's almost getting flanked on, but Snappy's got it covered. Takes out Sweater on the stairs, but Flynn peeks aggressively, and Bolo takes him out immediately. Now that brings us down to a 3v2. Disrupt are in a pretty clear advantage because they have the 3 versus the Powerhouse's 2. 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock, and they still have the diffuser as well. So plenty of time to execute, plenty of time to set up wherever they want. And Bolo is actually just trying to fake someone out with a little bit of sound cues.
Yeah, you've got not loading still on the flank, and he's making his way up white stairs. EXO is going to find Snappy, so now not loading making his way up white stairs. So the only defense left here. IQ takes a lot of damage, but Dot Dash is going to land the kill onto not loading. That would be Disrupt taking round 8. Pushing it not to map point, correct?
I don't think it's map point yet. I think we're 1 round off of map point.
Right, so it's going to be 4.
Never mind.
Oh, no, match point, so 5-3.
5-3. That was pretty quick that I was corrected there. Thank you, game.
Hey, it always happens when you need it most. Looks like so Vayne just managed to return in time for this operator pick, so that's good. And yeah, so we're going to be playing this round through as Powerhouse goes to laundry room and supply room. Disrupt had a pretty solid round last round. We'll see if they're able to maintain some solid control when they're pushing on a site this time. Maybe not change things up as last second as they did the last time they were attacking downstairs. We could see another round after this one if they manage to try something similar. But Bolo does 6th pick onto the Habana, so that hints to me that their main focus is going to be opening up the hatches in meeting and in main lobby.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think they might have expected Powerhouse to go upstairs again, but after seeing this operator lineup, I'm not sure exactly what about it. Maybe the Capkin. But perhaps after seeing this operator lineup, they thought, all right, Powerhouse are definitely going downstairs, so let's bring a Hibana instead of a Thermite. Since they definitely have their I wouldn't say niches, because they're both useful on both sites. But it's definitely like Thermite is better for the Kids Dorm site, and Hibana is better for the Supply Room site. So there's that little potential mind trick that happened there. But overall, let's actually check the scoreboards to see how our buddy Flynn is doing. Because I didn't see whether or not he got a kill. Did you?
No, he has yet to find a kill. He's
That's a hardy.
He keeps peeking Bolo. If I were coaching this team, my main advice to them would be don't peek Bolo. There's people who say, you know, don't peek Blaz, don't peek Blackbeard. Just don't peek Bolo. It's one of those things where it's like kind of like a basic concept in Siege at this point. But no, I mean, overall, Disrupt is just difficult to go up against, and Flynn, with the personality that Flynn has, he does tend to kind of go for some big plays, go for some aggressive plays, and sometimes it works out, but tonight it just seems like it really isn't. Aim might get the shots on Hibana. Yeah, he is. Snappy takes out Exo, and Aim takes out Bolo. So I said don't peek Bolo, but he managed to win it. Vayne finds Aim. Sweater finds Snappy. It's going to be a 3 versus 3 with the first minute of the round gone, and now you've got not loading inside of meeting, fighting off, I think, 2 or 3 members of Disrupt. Sweater finds not loading, so it's now a 2 versus 3. Coda and Flynn left on site.
I don't know if I've ever seen this much fighting in tower for a site that wasn't tower. And even sites that are tower, most of the fighting happens in attic or meeting hall. So this is a very strange game so far, and strange defense by Powerhouse to put so much effort into tower. It did catch Disrupt off guard, probably caught Bolo off guard quite a bit, but overall Disrupt managed to get most of the frags. But is it going to be enough? He pushes in aggressively. We're in a 1v2 or a 2v2 situation right here, as Disrupt are going for the plant. We hear it going down, but Vayne is covering the angle. Flynn peeks it aggressively, doesn't quite get the kill, and Coda goes for it. He catches dot dash, still sticking the plant, and that's going to be Powerhouse taking it back. They're almost forcing overtime right now.
So we know that Disrupt plays really aggressive. That's just the play style that they have. And it tends to work out for them, but I'm not sure why you would push towards the electrical room when your teammate is just sitting there sticking the plant. Obviously, the enemy operator, the defending operator, has to drop electrical, has to go either through that doorway or through the hallway. Watch the doorway. See if the player comes from the hallway and tries to go for whoever's planting the diffuser. If you have to bait your teammate at that point, it's okay as long as you trade it back immediately. But Disrupt's aggressive side came out. It was Vayne just pushed up, wanted that kill really badly. Frag hunting is not the best way to play Siege, ever. So unfortunately, you know, Vayne lost the fight there, and then you've got Dot Dash trying to stick the defuse. Gets taken out pretty easily at that point. He's just kind of like a sitting duck. So Powerhouse do bring it to 4-5. So they have the potential to push this first map to overtime. We'll see if Disrupt decides to answer back and just kind of clean this one up and send this to Consulate right away.
Yeah, we will definitely see. So Powerhouse's defense, we got a Catkin on the board, which on this map, I can definitely see it being useful considering if you have a defense on a certain site, you can usually put the Capkin traps far enough away from the site that they don't really expect them coming, and he's actually got them all around kitchen, so I do like that placement. And we've been seeing Capkin a lot more during CCS. Even though the traps only do 50 damage, having 5 of them, it lets you get information when someone triggers them, and it's still just a lot of extra damage. On top of that, if you already have a Legion, it can also be very strong, because while the Capkin traps do more damage than Legion traps are obviously invisible, you can get more of them, and it's easier to get information with Legion traps, because you can tell which one got destroyed. With Capkin traps, you only have your hearing to tell which one got destroyed. There's no visual cue. looks like XO will take the first kill onto AIM. EE1D goes down. So now XO knows that there's someone right behind this wall. He's actually going to run away from the angle as soon as he tries to peek it. Doesn't get the headshot through the wall, but it looks like the return kill comes out from Coda, who pushes around toward the other side. Good play by him to basically bail out his teammate there.
Vayne is currently downed, and Sweater is pretty low on health. Not loading, managing to make it past a doorway that's being watched is not favorable for Disrupt. Sweater does get finished off. Vayne gets the shot on a not loading. Flynn gets Bolo. Vayne takes out Coda. It's a 2 versus 2. Now it's a 2 versus 1 as Snappy finds Vayne, and Dot Dash left alone to clutch it, sitting by the bathroom corridor. We've seen him pull off some incredible things in the past, but with these goo mines hanging out, it gives Powerhouse the full potential to take this round.
Yeah, Flynn's been playing pretty defensively this round, considering he has been losing most of the gunfights in other rounds. But that does make it so that he can put out more Legion traps. So Dot Dash probably knows there is a Legion, but it's very hard to check for goo mines. So he's not really paying attention to those at all. Just if he triggers one, he triggers one. But Flynn is waiting at the angle and going to get the headshot onto Dot Dash. That is going to be Powerhouse taking it to overtime.
No more donuts on the board. I guess we got a little hungry and ate them all. Flynn finds 2 pretty clean headshots that round. So, and now we're moving into overtime on map 1. So Powerhouse bringing it to Disrupt right now, saying, "Hey guys, what's up? We're here to play. Are you?"
Yeah, and that's one thing we brought up at the very beginning of the day, is that both Impact and Powerhouse, even though they don't have a chance to make playoffs, they still want to show off the fact that they can be competitors. And I think both teams have done a pretty good job of that. Impact took Sinister to overtime on one of their maps. Powerhouse already took Disrupt on to overtime in their first map. And some of it's been through some just pretty solid play overall.
Yeah, I mean it's coming down to mostly skill. There's a lot of gunfights that are going on between both of these teams, and it comes down to either a one-on-one where it comes down to which of them has the better positioning or has the better shot and is able to land the headshot first, or whichever team works better off of each other, and you've got 2 people taking on 1 person. So the trades go back and forth like it's nothing. So it gets really hard to follow at some point because it just happens so quickly. You've got 3 kills that drop in the matter of 2 seconds. So it's pretty insane.
It is definitely. And now Disrupt, they are going for a Jackal. Got the ITAS secondary for some extra soft breach to pair with Zofia. And you also get some smoke grenades, which are always nice. Especially since Dokkaebi is banned. I think a lot of times, throughout both of these maps, we would almost... there was almost a team kill, team shot there. Team damage. But we see Dokkaebi a lot lately. The fact that she's banned means that it seems like teams are deciding to go smokeless rather than replace those smoke grenades with Jackal, which is an interesting decision. But I think with how comfortable some players have gotten on Dokkaebi's MK14 and the SMG12, it does make sense. Because we've seen players frag out really, really hard on Dokkaebi. Like Kanter Aketi in Pro League. He definitely got the MK14 down.
Sweater is also very dangerous to go against when he has that MK14. Dot Dash does find not loading, who is sitting inside a meeting hall. So that's starting to give Disrupt a little bit more control of this first floor, as the first minute of the round has already passed by. And Powerhouse, it looks like 3 of them are sitting pretty in sight, and they still have Jaeger at rear stage tower, and Snappy actually here with the LMG of the Maestro.
Disrupt still have both EE1Ds left, and I believe they still have both smoke grenades left, so their execute is still going to be quite strong when they decide to go for it, but they do have to finish off this tower defense that Powerhouse has. He might rotate out into Attic, but no kills quite yet. He is keeping Disrupt guessing and keeping them busy. Remember, every second he is here, he's wasting Disrupt's time, which is exactly what he wants, especially when they are already man down and Disrupt still have all of their utility left. This is a pretty good play by him, and he manages to get the pick onto Sweater. It's a very good one as it takes the smoke grenades off the board.
And it looks like at this point, Disrupt is really just focusing on making an execute towards the laundry room bomb site. They're going to watch for a flank coming in from Meeting Hall, but really they cannot spend any more time trying to flush Snappy out. So you've got now Snappy and Coda both over there. Vayne is going to make his way into Meeting Hall to try to hold the flank. The EE1D starts to go off. The execute is going to come in from Disrupt. Vayne potentially, no, he's not going to drop there, which is nice. Flynn finds Exo, Aim finds Bolo, Vayne finds Coda. The shots are coming from Snappy towards Vayne, but Vayne makes away with his life. Dot Dash does find Flynn, and he's going to find Aim as well. It's Dot Dash and Vayne versus Snappy, who was last seen in that tower. So now the diffuser starts to go down, and EE1D is going to come off. He's making his way down the hallway. Snappy gets the shots on Dot Dash. The diffuser gets planted, and Vayne wins the gunfight. It's going to be Disrupt taking the first round of overtime.
Just count how many bullets missed right there. Oh, that hurts if you are the Maestro player in that situation. He was so close, especially after killing... He pushed in through the EE1D. He knew it wasn't going off quite yet, and he was close enough to peeking the angle, so smart play to keep pushing up, but just barely not finding the headshot behind the washer. Might be a dryer. Behind the thing there. And Coda... and Vayne was just able to get the diffuser down and return the kill. That was incredibly close.
It was almost another example of Disrupt being over aggressive when they don't need to be. They had the EU1D going off. They were holding an angle that the Maestro wasn't going to peek because Maestro was just making his way over there, and he was going to look at the bottom of the stairwell. He was going to look at the washing machine. Those are the two spots that you will always peek towards when you're coming down that hallway and trying to push out to try to stop a plant, because you're going to find, more often than not, you're going to find one of the attackers sitting at the bottom of the stairwell looking towards hallway, or you're going to find a person planting the diffuser on top of or in front of the washing machine. So he just needed to sit back and watch the angle. The Lion almost gave that up by going for the aggressive peek. Thankfully, though, Vayne was able to land his shot. Otherwise, we could have seen Powerhouse in position to take this map.
Yep, that could have gone either way for sure. And I think going along with Disrupt's aggression, I think they spent too much time around tower as well. If you have, they definitely had a smoke plant strategy completely set up. They had the E1D, they had Jackal for smoke grenades, and they had a lot of covering fire that allowed them to get the diffuser down. If they know that two or even three members of Disrupt are playing tower side, that means that you have the numbers advantage if you go for the laundry room plant. So I think they could have just took their victory there. Dot Dash rotating out of the little side room there, and he actually just gets taken out right off the bat. Aim getting that one.
Aim does love his LMGs. That is one player that I can say that in CCS I've seen use more LMGs than rifles, and it works out very well for him. He's got a solid record. Exo finds Coda now. That's going to be a trade back. Jaeger and Sophia off the board so far. 4 versus 4 with 2 minutes still left in the round.
2 minutes left, so neither team is really hurting right now. Aim finds an angle onto Exo down through these stairs here. It's definitely not one that you want to challenge as a defender because there's just so much metal bars that can get in your way. The Sweater's going to trade it out, and he's going to get Flynn as well. 2 quick headshots on the side of this Ella player, and now Aim frags Bolo as well. I think Aim has gotten every kill so far, so potentially looking for an ace. He does still have Thermite left on the board with him, so a little bit of extra utility in that respect, and both EE1Ds, so still in a pretty good position for this take. However, Disrupt still have their smoke left alive. That is Vayne playing it. So they'll be able to deny plants for roughly 30 seconds if it comes to it.
Yeah, and so far it looks like Powerhouse is making good use of their time. They're droning out the site, droning out meeting, and trying to get as much intel as possible. They had a minute 20. It's down to about a minute right now, but they've droned things out. they've gotten a solid read on the positioning of some of these disrupt players. That first smoke canister is going to get used by Vayne, and it's not actually going to really do much of anything. I think Sweater going for the flank from meeting. He takes a lot of damage, but he puts a lot of damage towards Snappy as well. The shots are coming out towards him. He sprays through the wall, but nothing is actually going to connect. It's low health on almost everyone except for Vayne right now. So this is going to be a tough one for Powerhouse to try to bring back.
One smoke canister tick should definitely kill Snappy. I don't think it's going to kill AIM. I think it'll take 2 smoke canister ticks to kill AIM. But when you're actually up against a smoke, that's not a situation that you want to be in. Meanwhile, Powerhouse, 1 bullet will kill either member of Disrupt, but they don't have any big AoE, easy to land shots. Vayne peeks out, gets 1, gets 2. Sweater is the second one to pick that one up, and we will see Disrupt winning map 1 of this best of 3 series.
Yeah, I mean, that was really tough for Powerhouse. They fought really hard to make sure that they pushed it in overtime, but Disrupt and went into overtime with they had their heads in the game. They sat down, they looked straight at exactly what they needed to do, and once they had their eyes on that target, they made sure that they locked it in. So first map, Oregon is going to go to Disrupt. I believe we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back with map 2, which is going to be Consulate. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll be back soon.
Hindsight is fleeting, when your heart's bleeding, and all you can see is red. Till you discover it is within each other to forgive and make amends. If I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CCS Season 3 North America. My name is Crazy Man, and I'm still joined tonight by the astounding Azaraki.
There's a familiar one.
Yeah,
Not only
I
familiar in terms of I know the word, but also in I think 2 weeks ago, because I didn't cast last week.
yeah. I don't have the website open with the different adjectives right now, so unfortunately I had to just use one out of memory, and I used one that I knew that you would recognize. We are
I appreciate it, and that's the first time you used it today too. So
yeah, that's what counts. We are jumping into Consulate, which is going to be map 2 of Powerhouse versus Disrupt. Disrupt took map 1, 7-5. It did go into a single overtime, but Disrupt won both rounds in a row, and now we're here. Disrupt banning Blackbeard as the first ban for Consulate.
it'll be there'll have to be some significant patch or something that makes Blackbeard unbanned, 'cause he is very strong, especially considering just hey, I don't get headshot, ha. But Ying is the second ban, which is a little bit more surprising because she doesn't have smokes anymore, which means like so her candelas are still really good, especially for pushing in, and it can be paired with another operator who has smokes. But she's definitely not the powerhouse that she was before, when she could basically pull off a massive smoke plant strategy just by herself.
I can't even tell you how many times when Ying first came out, I went for those instant plants on Oregon where you would just drop some smoke grenades down there, drop all of your candelas, and then just rush to the left side of that doorway to the hallway. It worked every time, too. So I can't blame them necessarily for getting rid of the smokes on her. But in regards to Blackbeard, they have to be careful with it. You don't want to nerf him to the point where he's just an operator that nobody ever wants to use because he's useless. What you need to do is make sure that there's a bit of a better counter for him. Right now, it's kind of go for body shots or hope that he isn't looking for you, or just catch him by surprise. But if you're going up against a really skilled Blackbeard, there's almost no direct counter for him, which makes it pretty difficult. But if they just kind of nerfed him or made some changes to him that made it so people didn't really want to ban him, at that point it just becomes he's not a useful operator. And you don't necessarily want to do that. You want to have people with the ability to pick as many options as possible, so we see a lot of variety in the gameplay.
Yeah, one of the rough things with Blackbeard is that most good Blackbeard players will play in a situation or play an angle where they are very unlikely, if not, it's just impossible to flank them. And those are the sorts of ones that, like you said, are just completely there's no direct counter to them. Yeah, you can shoot their body. Yeah, you can break through the shield if you manage to shoot them more than they can shoot you, but those aren't really things that you want to count on. So it can be very difficult. But we should point out that our very first defense on Consulate is going to be piano room and lobby.
Which against Disrupt, with Disrupt defending piano and lobby, I'm scared for Powerhouse. It's going to be a tough fight. They have a thermite, which means to me that it's telling me that they were expecting to have to attack garage and kitchen. And that's not the case. So I'm not sure if the operator picks are necessarily going to favor them. They have the Capitao, which can be useful. Dokkaebi is always going to be useful with the logic bombs and that MK14. But I think that this bomb site pick definitely is going to catch Powerhouse a little bit off guard and have to change the way that they decide to play this round in a pretty drastic way.
A lot of times, for offense, if they're not expecting this sort of play and they can't just get like some brute force their way through the lobby with smokes and a glass, maybe a shield operator, whatever it may be that lets them get a plant down in the lobby, it's generally the fallback is to push through upstairs and get complete control of this second floor, which is exactly what they're doing, so I can't fault them for that whatsoever, making the best of what they have. And he's, with not meleeing this barrier, it's at the very start of the round, so even though it's taking them a little bit more time, AIM gets a very quick kill onto EXO, and that's the MK14 we were talking about earlier. Yeah, this is so early in the round that he can just melee through those castle barricades, and it's not going to hurt them too much. They save the Zofia impact grenade charges as well. Dot Dash is also playing upstairs. He's going to be able to get one pick, but a couple of concussion mines knock him out, and AIM is going to pick up the kill on a Sweater. That's not Dot Dash yet, so he's still up here, and he's still basically making everyone on Powerhouse second guess themselves for now, and he's going to get the pick onto Flynn too. You guys can't let him get away with that. Coda finally takes him down, leaves us with a 3v2, so Powerhouse are still doing pretty well, and they have all of their smoke grenades left.
And minute left on the board, 3 versus 2. They have some time to gain some intel, but it's a Doc and an Echo that are left on site. So 2 ACOGs that they have to go up against, and also the Bearing 9 and a Yokai drone. So lots of versatility in the way that Disrupt can play this. You can take those long angle fights here. So you've got Bolo looking straight down that hallway, going for a long angle, trying to catch anybody that might drop down from spiral stairs. You've got AIM outside making his way towards circle desk, but if they wait too long, they're not going to be able to get the plant down, because all you need to do at that point is just sit there with the Yokai and shut it down. It looks like AIM is looking towards the ceiling for it, but the Yokai is not on the ceiling right now. It does go up to the ceiling really quickly and gets taken out, so now there's potential for AIM to try to go for a plant now, but it's going to put him in a pretty risky position. Coda's here to cover from circle desk, does send out a concussive grenade. Vayne is going to get AIM, Bolo gets Coda, and then Bolo finds not loading as well, and in a matter of seconds, it all collapsed, and Disrupt takes round 1.
That pick onto AIM was huge. That's what secured them the round right there, because he didn't get the plant off. And that's the point. That's the part where Powerhouse says, we have 2 seconds left. We just need to rush them. There's no way we can play this any other way than to just rush them and hope we get the frags. And of course, Bolo was watching the rotation down, watching the drop. And so at that point, it was all on Disrupt to win the match. So I think that was a good pushing forward. I'm surprised Bolo didn't overheal himself or Vayne, but in the end, it didn't end up mattering too much, as they still won the round.
Yeah, they played it very solid there too. You had Echo push out from bathroom and just boldly walk straight through the smoke grenade that was there. And then you had Bolo make his way all the way down the hallway towards spiral stairs. And they ended up just pinching the attackers. There was one that had made their way all the way up towards the left side of the circle desk there. That Bolo got his first kill onto, and then the Capitao just dropped from hatch in a just absolute blitz of panic, and Bolo just landed an incredible flick and shut him down mid-air. You just kind of saw his dead body falling from the ceiling at that point. And it's tough to go against Disrupt when they're in this form and you've got Bolo with these incredible flicks.
Yeah, Bolo is one of those players that we always look at and we look to get some very nice frags down. And he's been doing that during this series for sure. Now he's playing Bandit, which is another one of those operators that we know is a very good fragger. MP7 is just great all around, and is actually, I learned a while ago that people really like the iron sights on the MP7 too, because the center, the actual, I don't really want to call it a reticle. I don't actually know what it would be called, but the very center aiming pin is very thin, so it doesn't really obstruct your view, and the housing for it also does not obstruct your view at all. It's lifted high enough off of the barrel of the gun that you don't have to worry about the gun itself blocking your view like it would with pretty much any pistol. So overall, it's just good iron sights. But he's using a red dot anyway, so you know.
Yeah, the MP7 is just one of the it's a very versatile weapon. I remember back when, yeah, that's true. I was gonna say, I remember back when it had the ACOG on it still. I mean, it was just a menace to have to go up against. It still is, but it's not as much of a menace because you're not gonna have a Jaeger or a Bandit holding a long angle with their ACOGs, because they don't have ACOGs anymore. But in Wildlands they do. Jaeger found his ACOG in Wildlands, so at least there's that. Snappy on the window does find Exo, and Fane now gets not loading.
I'm getting some technical difficulties, so you'll have to take it away once again for a little bit.
Understood. Flynn finds a headshot on a Vayne as well, and Coda takes out Bolo. It's down to Sweater and Dot Dash so far. So a 4 versus 2 in favor of Powerhouse. Phones are going to start ringing. Sweater is going to go for the peek towards the window there, not landing the shots just yet. He has to shut his phone off right now. Dot Dash playing at the top of service stairs has already shut his off. Diffuser is going to go down inside of the B bomb site. And now you've got a crossfire from every possible angle for Powerhouse. Flynn does find a kill on a Sweater. Dot Dash now takes down Flynn. It's a 3 versus 1. But jumping out the window is going to land him in front of a Claymore. And Coda placing it there with a 300 IQ play. Well done from Powerhouse to manage to take that round. We are moving into round 3. It is 1-1 right now, so fairly evenly matched on Consulate. We saw map 1 go to overtime. There's definitely, if things continue on this pattern, there's a lot of potential for map 2 to head into overtime as well. So we'll see what ends up happening. It looks like we're going to see Disrupt going lobby and press room again. It appears to be their favorite bomb site. And basically the exact same lineup from Powerhouse. You got the Thermite, IQ, Dokkaebi, Zofia, and Capitao. We'll see if they're able to utilize the utility a little bit differently here, which could be necessary for them to take the round, or if excuse me, or if they just manage to get the plant down a little bit safer this time. I think one of the big issues was that smoke grenade that went down didn't exactly cover the person placing the diffuser. So once Echo was walked through that, he was able to find the shots on him pretty easily. So we'll see if Powerhouse adapts as necessary to kind of shift things in their favor. Pretty similar setups coming out so far. Bolo with some reinforcements down that hallway there. We're more than likely going to see Bolo going for those long angles. He does have that ACOG on him again because he is playing Doc. And yeah, I think Powerhouse is more than likely going to focus on a very similar take to what they had last time. They made their way in from admin, and they took control of the overturned table. I always forget what the specific name for that is. I always call it overturned table or the A bomb site, upstairs A bomb site. Going for the spawn peak, though. Bolo is not going to find anyone because they didn't spawn there. Very smart from Powerhouse, because I think Bolo might potentially, he would probably win that fight there. He would probably land the shot on you, and there's not much you can do about it, so. Echo shotgun this time, actually, so gives them the potential to open up rotates. They opened up that hatch inside of the bathroom. They opened up a rotate from bathroom into piano. And now you've got Exo, who's probably just going to hang out on his yokai drones for the rest of the round. Bolo gets the first kill of the round on a Flynn. IQ now off the board, makes it a little bit more difficult to find and take care of those yokai drones. It's not loading, making his way into admin. As you can see, Coda has already made his way into copy room, and there is once again a castle barricade on that copy room doorway. I almost said copy room. I haven't been in Massachusetts that long yet. AIM finds the shots onto Sweater. Dot Dash hanging out by yellow stairs. It's 4v4 right now. It looks like Sweater went for the run out and just did not manage to land his shots. Some shots coming up from the yellow stairwell. Dot Dash is going to find the shots on a Snappy. It's a 3 versus 4 now with AIM at about half health. There's some intel here for Powerhouse. Disrupt, though, with his Valkyrie camera, are going to know exactly where Zofia is. Coda being spotted. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for him to try to win this fight. And EE1D is going to start to come out, and now Dot Dash sitting pretty back there is not sitting pretty anymore, thanks to not loading, who lands the headshot on him. Minute 10 left in the round. It's a 3 versus 3. But all of Disrupt that's still standing is now at full health. AIM does find Vayne, though. So you got Bolo and Exo once again in a position where they have to try to clutch it out. So we'll see if they manage it once again.
Yep, and I have returned so we can check out the last section, or last part of this round with 45 seconds left. Diffuser is down upstairs, and Powerhouse finally picks it back up, but it leaves them with only 40 seconds left to make this execute happen. I think they hear Dokkaebi basically climbing out of the window toward the main lobby. And that's... yeah, so he takes out the basically the hacked cam that Valkyrie had. And so now we're just playing long angles with this ACOG. As you said before, EXO only has the shotgun. It's going to be good in close range, but he also has the bearing 9. That's going to be all he needs at the moment. It's down to a 2v2 situation, but with 40 seconds left, or with 10 seconds left, it's not going to be enough as Bolo takes advantage of the fact that everyone has to rush, gets 2 kills right off the back of that one. And I do want to mention, when you mentioned the Echo with the shotgun, he sort of fulfills, I don't want to say a similar role, it is sort of a similar role to Smoke, in many ways. First, you obviously have the plant denial with both your smoke cluster charges or the yokai concussion blasts, but they're also both operators who have a secondary SMG, and there are only 3 defensive operators that do that. The third one is Vigil, and his shotgun is a slug shotgun, so he can't fulfill this role. But with that reliable secondary weapon, both Smoke and Echo can be used, can be played with shotguns without sacrificing too much fragging power. If most other operators try that, then they will be without a lot of long-range power, and most pistols are not really what you want to be using, unless I guess you want to use the PMM for the entire round. That's an option, but that basically allows them to play with the shotgun as the primary, so it gives them the opportunity to open up anything on site that they want. And so that's, I think, part of the reason why Echo is another operator that we could potentially see shotgun on. The reason I think we don't as often as the reason I think we don't very often is because he has an ACOG on his primary SMG, and that's incredibly powerful. So you have the opportunity cost of basically not running an ACOG to fulfill that sort of breach, but still have an automatic secondary role.
Yeah, he's like you said, a less lethal Smoke. So that's actually a very good point to bring up. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's one of the random things I think about when everything else around me is uninteresting, like at work.
Fair. I cannot fault you for that. Work can be dreadful sometimes, but this match is not dreadful. Moving into round 4, Disrupt up 2-1 right now, and it looks like Powerhouse is going to start focusing on making sure they have control of that top floor before they go to make a move anywhere else. I'm not sure if they if there was a fake on the bomb site or if Powerhouse was aware that it is downstairs. It looks like they just kind of want to make sure they have that map control, which is a solid idea, especially against a team like Disrupt. You always need to drone out the entirety of the site because they can be anywhere.
Disrupt are definitely unpredictable and also aggressive, so even if you're nowhere near site, you do have to watch out because it might not even be a roamer playing off site. It could be an anchor. But we do see Disrupt have 4 operators that would be anchors, so you got to expect that at least one of them is probably going to be playing a little bit more flanky than you would normally expect them to.
I could see Bolo going for a solid flank on the Maestro. That seems like a play that he would definitely head for. So we could see him come up the service stairs later on in the round potentially. This is a great angle. Thank you to Dokubi's gun. Dot Dash finds the first kill onto the round. That's going to be aim that falls, and the garage wall is now going to get opened.
And with that opening, this is a pretty classic take for the downstairs bomb site. You open up either side of this wall here, leave a pillar in the middle for a little bit of extra cover, and if they want, they can end up planting down there, but they've already lost 2 members of their team, including the Dokubi, who has... actually, both of them are the ones that they were relying on for their smoke arrows / smoke grenades, so they actually don't have either of those at all. It'll make this take much, much harder, and really Disrupt are in a fantastic position right now.
Yeah, they just have to sit pretty on site and make sure that the plant doesn't get down. It seems like Powerhouse is really just going to focus on getting in through that garage door, making sure they have a crossfire set up, and getting that diffuser placed. But Disrupt is not going to allow it. They're in a solid position, got several different angles watching towards those open up holes, and I think Flynn, no potential to mess up Disrupt's play right now because there's an evil eye right there that is definitely going to spot him. Dot Dash now finds Snappy. It's a 2v5 with 15 seconds left.
And with 15 seconds left on the board, Flynn gets the first pick. However, it is still a 2v4, and they need to plant the defuser, so all Disrupt need to do is sit tight, and that is going to be the round as Bolo and Sweater pick up Flynn and Coda as kills. So, Disrupt are still in a pretty decent lead for themselves.
I could see Flynn's reaction to getting downed in the hallway there. He shook his head no, and I feel bad because at that point it's like, okay, yeah, he's trying and he's upset. But at the same time, it's hysterical that he decided that he had the time to shake his mouse so he could say no.
Just a little bit of a plea for mercy there. Unfortunately, he was getting shot from through the wall, so no one could even see his last-ditch efforts to stay alive. We'll give you that one, Flynn. We'll see if anyone gets 6 picked off of these lineups, but it looks like so far everyone is pretty set. Never mind. Every time I say anything regarding that, the 6th pick comes in or whatever it is, happens. Not only does it happen, not only does it jinx it, it's at least, or it's no more than 1 second after I say it.
Making you eat your words, bro.
Instantly proving me wrong. They're doing this on purpose. There's a 3-minute delay on the stream, but they're still doing this on purpose.
I think they're just good at reading your mind. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Disrupt. Lobby and press room. They've won it every single time so far, with just Bolo and EXO alive at the end.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
So I think we're going to see this first half going 4-1 in favor of Disrupt. They're pretty dominant on this bomb site, and they hold it very well. Yeah, they lose 3 people upstairs, but it doesn't matter because Bolo and EXO are still alive downstairs, and they're in a solid position, and they're able to cut off everyone that tries to push onto site. Maybe Powerhouse changes something up a little bit this round. I'm surprised. It doesn't seem like they really had a solid read that it was going to be lobby and press room. Although they do have the Dokkaebi for the smokes, and they also have a Lion that could use the EE1D to deny a push while going down for the plant. So maybe Powerhouse is ready for this, and they know exactly what they need to do to be able to take this round. We'll see. It is the last round of the first half, so if Disrupt takes this, then now we're going to see Disrupt on attack, and they put themselves in a solid position where they just need to get 2 attacking wins, and they win it all.
Yep. And this is, once again, map 2. First map was an overtime victory, 7-5 on Oregon, and that went in favor of Disrupt, of course. So overall, they've been doing decently well in this series, but Powerhouse have also put up a good fight on top of that. So let's see if they can make Consulate as close as the first map. Dot Dash is just waiting for this barricade to go down, but I think Powerhouse, Not Loading actually heard him shimmy around, and if he didn't, he definitely heard that pistol shot go off.
And the Claymore is being placed there so that you don't have Dot Dash sitting too close to the barricade. Aim does find Sweater now, though, and Dot Dash takes out the Claymore and places his own little trap there. We'll see if Powerhouse manages to walk straight into that or not. Vayne finds Coda now, and EE1D is going to start to come out. Dot Dash is being pinned on site. EXO finds Aim now. It's 3 versus 4, as there's only one member of Disrupt that has fallen, but Not Loading finds Vayne. Flynn finds Dot Dash, and once again, we've got Bolo and EXO in a 2 versus 3, trying to clutch it out on lobby and press room.
This time, Powerhouse have more time than they did in their other attempts, so it could potentially go into their favor. Now, I do want to commend Powerhouse's use of Lion, because a lot of times when we see Lion, the teams just kind of activate it and hope that someone shows up that they can shoot. They don't actually make anything happen of it, or they don't force someone to move while the EE1D is going off. But what Powerhouse did was they took a lot of ground. They took the entire meeting room, and they just pushed in. They got a couple of kills as soon as they used that EE1D charge. So that's the kind of thing I like to see from that operator. Here goes the second one. We're going to see an assault onto site. They're dropping right into B. That's the main lobby. Sounds like they're about to go for a plant.
Not Loading in position to try to catch this flank from Bolo. Bolo does get spotted by a drone, so he's going to be a little bit more careful. Flynn now finds EXO, and Not Loading is going to find Bolo. So Powerhouse managed to make the adaptations necessary to take lobby and press room. So now we're going to be at 3-2 for the first
Yeah.
half. Yeah, 3-2 for the first half. Moving into the second half, now Disrupt will be attacking.
Yep. And again, both of those line E1Ds are exactly what you want to see. And that's basically I would say the entire round went into those EE1Ds. The first one, they took complete control over Meeting Hall. They got ready to drop the hatches. They got vertical control, so they were holding angles down into the lobby site, checking it to make sure it was clear. So they got a lot of ground and they got a couple picks. The second one, they didn't get any picks off of it, but it let them drop down into the lobby of the B site and get down a pretty much free plant, forcing Disrupt to challenge them. So Disrupt became the ones who had to attack into a Powerhouse defense, and they just had the angles at that point. So once again, good line play.
Yeah, and looking at the scoreboard, I think Flynn is getting mad at us for talking about him catering donuts during the last map, because he's got 5 kills right now. He is one of the top 2 for Powerhouse on the scoreboard at least. And mind you, that's just the scoreboard. It's just stats. It's just kills and deaths and stuff like that. It doesn't really show how well they're contributing to the team. It's just kind of a number that we can visualize and talk about. We can't sit here and
that we can roast someone for.
True, that's very true. But like it's not like we could sit here and look back at stats and be like, oh yeah, they threw this many EMPs and disabled this many bandit batteries, or any kind of like very specific utility-based stats like that. I would love that actually, but it's never gonna happen, guaranteed. I'm not gonna force some poor person to sit here and note every single second of every single round, yet.
Maybe if they get paid enough, you know. That sounds like.
If I was getting paid, I'd do it.
It wouldn't be too bad. But now we see this attack onto the upstairs CEO office and meeting room site. Disrupt have been putting a decent amount of pressure onto the admin offices, which is a pretty common place that we see takes on this upstairs site. For the most part, you have 2 main schools of thought when you come to attacking this. You either go through admin and try to force your way through here, or you go in straight to executive and basically watch angles from the outside windows while you get plants down. But Not Loading is going to get the first frag as he kills Vayne, rappelling off the edge of the wall.
A logic bomb is going to go off from Sweater on that Dokkaebi, and I mentioned it before. Sweater can be an incredibly dangerous player when he has that MK14 in his hands. We've seen him pull off some incredible shots with it and just absolutely demolish an entire defense. Aim does find him though, so thanks for making me eat my words now. Exo now finds Snappy as well. It's going to be a 4 versus 3 with Disrupt kind of falling apart on their attacking round. Looks like Powerhouse has this one set as Coda now finds Bolo, and it's up to Exo and Dot Dash to try to clutch it out as Exo is over by yellow stairs on this IQ. Dot Dash finds Coda now, putting it to a 3 versus 2. Dot Dash is pretty low on health and has a pretty long way to fight.
I think Disrupt have been pretty unfortunate in terms of the timings of when they decide to rotate out, but Exo manages to trade it back and even it down to 2v2. Most of the time, most of the kills we've seen so far were when someone on Disrupt either rotated out or stopped watching an angle, and then right after they did, someone kills their teammate from that same angle that they just stopped watching. So a little bit unfortunate there, but it could also be chalked up to a bit of miscommunication. But Not Loading is now going to get the frag onto Dot Dash. Now we're in a 1v1 situation with EXO versus Not Loading. And we know both of them to be pretty good players. Damage going out on either side. The pistol gets pulled out, and a headshot onto Not Loading is going to take EXO to victory as they take the first round of their offense.
That was Powerhouse's round.
It was.
They were in a very solid position. They made sure that they got the picks that they needed to, the early picks onto Sweater and things like that. They put themselves into a solid position. And then they got cocky. They threw it away, peeked stupid angles, or losing fights to an IQ sitting on yellow stairs. Which, IQ's got the ACOG. Got a very solid gun. very solid aim. But you know that they're holding a long angle from yellow stairs after you lose that first person. So why would Flynn just book it straight towards connector and just put himself right into the crosshairs of the IQ that was standing on yellow stairs?
It's a very good question. We'll have to ask him about it later, grill him a little bit more. But we do see him playing Alibi now, actually. We have the Alibi Maestro. Both of the new ops showed off in this defense. And I'll mention it again because I mentioned it a lot, but the way I like to see Alibi played, from day one, I wanted to see people use maybe one hologram, maybe one prisma at the start of a round, before the round actually starts, and save the rest to augment your roaming. I think that is the way to play Alibi, personally. Because at the start of a round, a lot of times when you put your Alibi in, or you put your prisma next to common spawn peak windows, yeah, the enemy gets a shot off on them, but then what do you do with that? You have the information that they are outside near one of the spawn doors. Unless you have another spawn peak window ready and waiting, then you can't really capitalize on that. And even if you do, there could be another teammate watching that angle, or the person could realize, oh, I shot a prisma mine, let me look at somewhere else. But if you save them so that you use them while you're roaming, you can do some pretty good fakeouts with it. People generally drone for the first minute of the match, but after that, you see drones fall off quite a bit. And if you check a room and you know it's clear, then you say, okay, there's nobody in here, no alibi, no anything, no prismas, and suddenly you push into that room chasing an alibi, and you suddenly see a prisma, you think it's alibi, 100%. You don't have enough time to react, and you already saw it was clear earlier, so you can definitely be caught off guard by something like that. And that will just let the alibi peek back around the corner and get the kill, or peek from a different angle. So I think that's the way I want to see alibi played much, much more often. But aim, going to get a headshot onto Vayne, and that brings us down to a 3v4.
It was very solid for Disrupt to get the kill on Dakota. It was a trade back immediately. Flynn now finds Bolo. Sweater finds Flynn and not loading, putting it to a 2 versus 2. It's Ash and Buck against, you've got an Echo and a Maestro over here. So ACOGs versus ACOGs all across the board. This is anyone's game. But as I was trying to say, so getting Coda was a solid pick after losing Exo to it, because you lost your entry fragger, but you traded it back immediately. They had potential to kind of make their way through the rest of the round in a safer manner, but now they don't have a Habana to open up the garage door. They've got a lot of soft breach potential, and they've got some very powerful weapons at their fingertips, but they are very limited on where they can push from. And they kind of have to funnel themselves into one position, and it's going to be tough. I think Sweater is more than likely going to go for some really aggressive gunfights here with Dot Dash on that drone, because Dot Dash is very low on health, and you got Sweater at full health on an Ash. It's very dangerous operator in the hands of Sweater. It seems like Snappy going for some shots with that bearing 9. He's going for the fight against Dot Dash. He's made his way to the bottom of the spiral stairs there. And Yokai is going to go off and hit someone. And then Snappy lands the shots onto Sweater, so it's all up to Dot Dash with very low health. He goes to throw a grenade in on here, and it's not actually going to connect. Snappy gets the shots off on a Dot Dash, and Powerhouse can manage to find round 7.
Yeah, Powerhouse taking advantage of Disrupt's a little bit of panic there toward the end of that round when there were only 2 left. As you mentioned, they had the right idea, basically droning in for the Ash player to pick up all the picks at the end of that. But I think they sort of rushed it a little bit, and I believe was the Ash player Sweater, or was it Exo?
The Ash was Sweater.
Yeah, so I think Sweater got a little bit overzealous. He tried to peek the Maestro, but he didn't clear out the break room that Snappy was sitting in. So Snappy just basically got a free kill on him throughout that entire engagement. So I think they could have played it a little bit better, but they had the right idea.
I think that Dot Dash lost his drone He was kind of droning in for Sweater, but I think he lost his drone a little bit too early on there. So they had some intel on him, or on the other players, players of Powerhouse, but they didn't have all of the intel that they needed. So Sweater was a little bit more cautious with his push. If I think if they had been able to grab the intel necessary for Sweater to get really aggressive there, then Disrupt easily could have taken that round.
The thing that confuses me is that there was a ping that went down on Snappy, who was playing in Break Room, and despite that, they didn't get information on exactly where he was playing because he's obviously not going to just stand still when he gets exposed. But just knowing that he's in that room should mean that Sweater wouldn't peek aggressively into Garage, and he would try to do something to cover his back first, or at least wait for his teammate to potentially clear out conference room, or at least set up some sort of crossfire there.
It was kind of like a last-second decision that was really costly.
Well, how is he still alive? Aim, what?
What?
He dropped down, went prone, and I think the rest of the team assumed he was dead, so he got one pick. And that was a ridiculous play. Okay, so Disrupt maybe a little bit blind.
I kind of need to like slow it down and explain exactly what we just witnessed, because that round went by so fast.
Yeah.
AIM dropped from the hatch and managed to drop 2 people. He got 1 kill and then downed the second person there before he was finally finished off, but he put a lot of damage onto every player that was there. And then you had Sweater on the blitz get so distracted by the fact that AIM was still alive, he stopped looking into piano. And there was another player of Powerhouse that was just sitting right by the piano itself. Had a nice angle and cleaned off the kill onto both Sweater and the other player that was downed on the stage inside of press room. And at that point, it just Disrupt fell into chaos there, and Powerhouse was ready for it. I think they knew that there was going to be an aggressive push somehow, or they just got really lucky with AIM being able to drop from the hatch and survive as long as he did. But that was just so fast-paced and so absurd that I could hardly even process exactly what we just witnessed.
I don't think we can really chalk it up to Powerhouse planning that one out at that point, but it looks like we'll be heading down up into the admin office. I guess it's the CEO office, executive office, and the meeting room for this hold once again. Not going for another. So Powerhouse don't seem to favor the lobby hold nearly as much as Disrupt did, and to be fair, it did work quite well for Disrupt, so you can't really blame them there. But in terms of, do you think there's anything that that either team should really be looking out for from the other team? Any big habits that they like to do, or operator picks?
It's easier to predict what Powerhouse is going to do because they're a team that has a solid structure that they tend to follow for every round, for every match, for every map. You're going to have AIM on that Maestro with the LMG. If you see him on defense, he's more than likely playing Maestro with the LMG. Flynn is a little bit unpredictable because he'll play sometimes, like right now he's playing Vigil. Sometimes you'll have him on various other operators like Castle or Jaeger. I think we've seen him on throughout tonight. Snappy does tend to play an Echo or some other anchor that has plant denial abilities. But with Disrupt, it's really not about operators, it's about habits. And they have a habit of being incredibly aggressive, no matter what the circumstance. Like right now, you've got Disrupt all making their way to the top of Yellow Stairs. You got Sweater on the blitz trying to lead the charge. And, I mean, they're just doing everything that they can to set themselves up to go for this push. Not Loading goes for a run out from Garage and finds Bolo. AIM finds Dot Dash, and EXO finds Not Loading, and then Dot Dash's Claymore is going to take out another one of the Powerhouse players. EXO now finding a headshot onto AIM, and EXO pushing into sight. He's going to get downed by Snappy. It's 2 versus 2 as the EE1D is going to go off. Sweater is pushing up, and now you've got Snappy blind and taken down. It's all up to Flynn on the Vigil in a 1 versus 2 situation. You've got Sweater peeking around the corner. Peekaboo, hello, I'm here. Fire some shots at me. Flynn in the worst position imaginable right now, has to try to fight back against Vayne and Sweater, who Vayne is actually getting the plant down right now as Sweater is going for some aggressive blitz plays.
Man,
Vayne is going
this-
to peek around the corner after getting the diffuser down, and Flynn will fall, and Disrupt is now going to bring themselves to match point.
These rounds are suddenly crazy. I think that entire round lasted a minute and 40 seconds roughly, and most of the action was over by a minute. So these teams are starting to turn up the aggression, especially Disrupt, and it worked out. You can't really complain about it when it works out well for them, and I think Blitz was definitely a good pick to follow up with that. Now, Legion is not banned, so they could potentially use that to slow down a Blitz play again, because it looks like Disrupt are deciding to go with it. Lion Blitz combo, it's very strong.
Well, yeah, you've got Sweater on that blitz. The man has no fear. He will just walk into whatever is facing him, and do everything that he can to make sure he shuts it all down. And it's menacing.
It definitely, especially if you're the one going against it. Can't imagine that it's hard not to panic when you're in that sort of situation. We'll see 6 picks onto Thermite and Valkyrie, I believe were those two. So Powerhouse looking to try to make sure Disrupt doesn't play IQ, and they managed to get both Valk and Echo on the board, so a little bit of a small victory for them. Disrupt, they're taking a Thermite, however we are in the lobby site, so there's not a lot for him to Thermite through. Just basically these bathroom walls here are the main things that you might want to end up using that for, but a Hibana would be able to do a pretty similar sort of deal there, and she would also be able to get hatches, so it's maybe a little bit of a misread, especially because Powerhouse have shown that they don't really like the piano room lobby hold as much as Disrupt do, so it was a pretty good decision to go down here to catch Disrupt off guard.
Yeah, I think Disrupt was prepping a bit more for a defense on Garage. You've got the Thatcher and the Thermite that would be solid for immediately opening up the Garage wall, and then you can set off a Lion and just have Sweater push straight onto site, and it would be nearly impossible for Powerhouse to properly shut that down. But by going lobby and press room, it opens up a bit more potential for them. And I mean, the last time we saw them defending the site, you saw aim on that Maestro drop from that hatch and just completely obliterate all of Disrupt as they were trying to push it. So we'll see how this round happens. So Castle is now pinned inside of the bathroom with Sweater watching for it. And then there was another, so aim now finds shots onto Bolo as Castle is going for the peaks onto Sweater. He's actually going to get pinched. Coda finds the kill onto Sweater, putting it to a 5 versus 3 as Powerhouse is looking to take map 2 to overtime as well.
That's a really odd decision to have your Ashe and your Blitz to just go off and, I guess, essentially roam hunt for the beginning of the round, and they did it very quickly before they had any time to set up. It didn't really distract the defense at all because we see they didn't manage to get the plant down. So overall, I don't think that was a very good decision by Disrupt, and Coda's going to get the last headshot to win the round, and that's going to bring us to a, I think we're match point on Powerhouse.
That's going to be overtime now.
It's overtime now.
Yes.
Makes sense. But yeah, overall, I think if you want to play around a Blitz like that, you need to give him the space to work in. That's one thing they did during the last round when they attacked a CEO office, was they gave him the space. They all held different angles, and they just let him run in there and clean up. In this situation, they had the support crew for them with Thermite and Lion, but they didn't really utilize it at all. They just had both of their fraggers go into the same place, and they got pinched out.
Yeah, having Sweater get stuck at the top of Yellow Stairs is very disastrous because there was the castle inside of the bathroom, and then there was also a player that was sitting inside of the console office. So Sweater,
There's a Maestro too. I think.
yes. So I mean, it was tough for Sweater. There's no direction that he can move in at that point without putting himself at risk. So at that point, the proper call is to back off, reposition yourself, and give yourself the advantage but they left themselves at the disadvantage, and Powerhouse managed to capitalize on that. So now we're moving into overtime, and we're going to have to see if Disrupt is able to change things up a little bit. We have Sweater on a Zofia now, as opposed to the Blitz.
Yeah, it looks like he actually DC'd at the start of that round, so we'll have to see what ends up happening in that respect. But Powerhouse deciding to once again go for a lobby hold. Seemed to work out for them last time, so we'll see what they can do with this one. And unfortunately, considering the 15-second mark has passed, will not be rehosting to let Sweater get back in. Not loading is going for an aggressive spawn peek. Doesn't end up getting anything off of it, but critically, he doesn't lose his own life, and that's the part that really matters. And it looks like Disrupt are going to be juggling the diffuser outside. They're not sure who they want to take it quite yet, because if you lose it when you're upstairs or perhaps in the basement, it just becomes that much harder because you have to waste time to go around and get it.
You know, it's a 4v4 right now. Disrupt not successful the last 2 times that they've had to attack lobby and press room. We'll see if they manage to change things up during the duration of this round. It looks like they're already changing up the way that they're attacking. You've got Sweater making his way in from Visa. And then Thermite, I believe, was just sitting pretty outside of the main lobby. Dotdash has already made his way towards the bottom of Spiral Stairs here, so he could put himself in a position that is very beneficial for his team, especially if they're able to find that yokai that is sitting right by the entrance. Get rid of that yokai, gives yourself a little bit of a better potential to get the plant down. Not loading is going for this fight on Spiral Stairs. Flynn finds Dotdash, and now you've got the other player of Disrupt that was over there being pinched. He's going to get downed and finish off. Sweater will fall to not loading, and Bolo finds Coda, putting it to a 3v2, getting a little bit closer to an even man count.
This is a tough overtime. Disrupt still have a decent amount of fragging potential on their side, especially considering Bolo is still alive. However, they don't really have a lot of map control, and that's basically the main difference in what they want to find at this point. Snappy's still alive. He's the Echo player. The Yokai drones are still going to be able to deny any plants that happen. I believe the diffuser is down near Spiral Staircase as well, so Disrupt really have to challenge this. The map is against them right now. Bolo peeks and he manages to get the kill. Not loading goes down. We're down to a 2v2 situation. Make that a 2v1 as Exo manages to take out Snappy, who I believe tossed a C4 down at him. Or actually, I think that's Fly's C4.
No, if it was Flynn's C4, he probably would have set it off by now. Flynn gets the shot onto Exo from above. That hatch is open, and it is menacing. Flynn against Bolo, with Bolo very low on health and diffuser not down. Oh, it was his C4, and he just set it off. That's weird that he let it sit there as long as it did. Now Flynn is above this hatch as Bolo is making his way into press room. He goes for the plant to try to bait Flynn out. He's going to run towards the other bomb site, and he's very limited in his choices here. Flynn is going to hear the diffuser start to go down. He drops down, lands the shots, and Powerhouse will take the first round of overtime.
Yeah, good play by Flynn to be patient and basically not get juked out by what was a fake plant. And what that did was basically it made the time advantage go way into his favor. And once the timer hits 0, you're free to peek however you want, because the offense needs to stick the plant, or else they just simply lose. So at that point, it's just a lose-lose situation. So I think in that situation, Bolo shouldn't have gone for a fake plant. He should just gone for the regular plant.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit safer, and he might have had the potential to try to catch Flynn on the drop there. But I think the biggest issue was, or the hardest part there for Disrupt, was that Flynn just had a solid read on the fact that Bolo was going to rotate. I don't think Bolo got rid of all of the cameras that may have been in the area. So there was an evil eye that was on the wall that I saw he got rid of. I don't know if that main lobby camera got taken out, or maybe it was just a solid read and Flynn just got really lucky and made sure and knew that Bolo was going to go to the press room bomb site rather than try to commit to planting inside of main lobby. So overall, well played by Powerhouse to take that first one. Disrupt fought really hard for it, and they almost took it. But just Flynn catching them completely off guard from that hatch gave them a huge advantage. We are going to be working on a rehost real quick, though, so we can make sure that we have a 5v5 for the following rounds. So you guys, please stick around. I think we are going to try to jump to a short break while we get this all set up for you.
is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. With crimson secrets and forbidden bliss, can't stay still, don't stop that thrill. My bones crave your skin, temptation within, mistakes ignite the silence. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. Yeah. Connect the dots straight to the start of intoxicating want. Lingering touch, these soft words whispered in the dark. Set my heart on fire.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We do apologize for the time necessary for the rehost, but we are ready to jump back into this. Due to extraneous circumstances, Disrupt did have to sub out a player, but we are going to continue. We are back in overtime with Powerhouse versus Disrupt on Consulate. 6-5 right now in favor of Powerhouse.
Yep, if Powerhouse win this next round, we go to a map 3, which I believe is Coastline, which is always an exciting map. However, if Disrupt can take this next victory, they still need to win by 2, so there's a lot riding on this single map, or single round right here. So we'll see what these teams decide to do. Disrupt going for a lobby hold, lobby and piano room. This is the one that they've been favoring pretty much all night. Try to go here as much as they can, and they have been performing pretty well on it.
A bit of a big changeup, though. You no longer have Bolo and Exo on those ACOGs. You've got Bolo on Rook, Hyper on the dock, and no Yokai or no Echo.
So they won't be able to deny plants as easily. They do still have 2 ACOGs, since we have Hyper on dock. Let's see. I think it's not really going to be evening it out. I'm still a little bit interested into why they decided to go for the Rook over Echo, or basically the Rook or Dock over Echo. Honestly, sub either one of them out, because Echo just seems to have so much more utility, and he also has an MP5. It's just silenced. He can put an ACOG on it. His secondary is the Bearing 9. It's just, I'm not sure why they would go for this specific choice.
I think it comes down to the players being comfortable with specific operators. Sweater finds the first kill onto Aim, who I think was making his way up yellow stairs. Maybe he was on the skylight there. But that's disrupted an early man advantage, as the first EE1D is going to roll out. You've got Disrupt standing still, LOL.
Yeah, they just countered Lion. Easy as it comes. But Powerhouse pushes in a little bit with the EE1D. I think I'm not sure if they were in admin before the EE1D, but if not, they are definitely now. So they're getting a little bit of extra map control. Meanwhile, Powerhouse is trying to just take this vertically. It's pretty common for offenses when you're trying to attack the lobby and piano room to clear out the second floor first, especially meeting hall, because you can see into most of lobby through the floor of meeting hall, and there's also the hatch you can drop down. Claymore doesn't activate in time, but he still manages to get the kill onto Dot Dash. It's going to be a headshot. Another EE1D goes down. You're going to try to use this to get control over the meeting hall site. But not quite anything happening with it yet.
Yeah, it's interesting that Powerhouse has devoted both of their EE1Ds to this roam clear. They got one kill kind of off of the EE1D, but it's a much more useful utility if you utilize it when you're going for a plan or when you're trying to stop a retake. Looks like Sweater will fall to Flynn now. It's a 4 versus 2, so Powerhouse in a very solid position to wrap up this map. It's both ACOGs still standing, a pattern that we have seen so far on this bomb site. Got Hyper hanging out in the lobby and Bolo hanging out in press room, both looking for these angles towards outside, trying to catch anyone that they can that might be upstairs. Looks like Powerhouse are comfortable where they are. They're getting themselves into position. 15 seconds left on the clock, though, so that limits the potential of what Powerhouse can do right now. You got 10 seconds left, and Bolo will find the first kill onto Flynn. Looks like some of the attackers have made their way in over by Circle Desk. Thermite is going to get spotted, and he's going to drop that diffuser, and Disrupt will take the second round of overtime. We're going to jump into double overtime and see what comes from that.
Yeah, a couple of things happening there. First of all, it's a theme that we see pretty often, but Powerhouse waited a little bit too long before they finally decided to start executing, and they didn't set up the angles. If they had someone in meeting room watching that rotation, then it would have been a much different story. Because when you are down to the final seconds and you try to plant, if your planter dies, it's over. That's the entire round, and you saw it happen right there. So you definitely want to make sure that you do everything you can to prevent him from dying in the first place. Even if you trade out the kill, it doesn't matter. He needs to not die. and they just weren't set up for that. Secondly, I want to I thought it was kind of weird that Powerhouse seemed to pretty much give up all of their vertical control when they went for the plant. No one actually stuck upstairs.
Yeah, if they had had someone inside of the upstairs sorry about that, a small hiccup. If they had had somebody inside of the what you can see now is the A bomb site, they might have been able to cover from hatch and get a better angle onto the doorway that leads towards bathroom, and possibly shut down Bolo as he went around for that peek. But I mean, it was Powerhouse wasted a lot of time upstairs, and they wasted both of their EE1Ds. If they still had another EE1D that they could have set off there, it would have been a lot safer for them to try to go in for a plant like that, because if anybody tried to push up and, you know, go for the shots like Bolo did, they would have been marked. It would have been easy enough for them to at least absorb a few body shots and get the kill onto Bolo. So there were a lot of mistakes that were made by Powerhouse at the end there that just kind of cost them the round.
I think there was only when they used the second EE1D, only Sweater was upstairs and he was stuck in bathroom. So I think instead of that EE1D, they could have easily droned out and saw that there was no one else upstairs and saved the EE1D after that as well, because they didn't really... I mean, they made a little bit of ground. They pushed into meeting hall, but they were one room over before when they used the EE1D. So a little bit of, like you said, misallocation of that really powerful resource. That's one reason why Zofia is played a lot, because you can just take out Evil Eyes. Obviously, she's got a ton of extra utility. Just having a long-range soft breach, sort of like... Her gadget is just a straight-up upgrade of Ashes, let's be honest. She just doesn't have the 3-speed or the weird hitbox. But, yeah, Zofia's been seeing a lot more play. Yeah, pretty much. Zofia's been seeing a lot more play, which I really like, because I like Zofia quite a bit. You can also use her concussion grenades to get information. Bowler with a one-tap headshot manages to get it from the CEO office windows, and Hyper gets another kill on top of that, so Disrupt starting out this round pretty well.
Yeah, 2 members of Powerhouse have already fallen. It's going to be the Maestro and the Castle off the board at this Disrupt are just getting themselves in a position. Hyper now will find Coda, and Dot Dash had a solid crossfire there with it. Snappy finds Exo, putting into a 2 versus 4. It's Snappy and Flynn left to try to clutch this out, as Dot Dash is going to get down trying to cross there, and the diffuser will be dropped behind that desk. That gives a lot of potential for Powerhouse, but they don't know what's down, and Hyper is going to find the shots onto Flynn. Hyper now going for some more shots towards Snappy, but Snappy's going to make his way to Connector and fall to Sweater. Disrupt will take overtime round 3. And we'll see if Powerhouse is able to extend this overtime a little bit longer.
Yep, we're seeing a pretty close match so far, and Powerhouse, in the round before this, they were very close. This round is definitely a different story, as Disrupt seemed to just get all of the frags. Their roam clear was a lot better than it had been throughout this entire map. And I think that's a lot of the reason why they managed to pick up such a decisive win on this offense. They're heading back to defense. They obviously can't go into lobby and piano room because they just won on that site, so they're going to have to rely on something else, which they haven't been as strong at, but we can definitely still see them winning. Looking like they're going to Garage Cafeteria, which Mira, Maestro, Echo... You got 3 very strong anchors there, and I'm pretty excited to see what they pull off with this, because those are some very heavy information gatherers as well.
You know, with Hyper and Dot Dash on both Bandit and Jaeger, respectively, that's a lot of heavy roam potential from those two, and those weapons are in good hands. Those 2 players have some incredible aim, some incredible game sense, so I could see them just playing an incredible roam game and shutting down any kind of attempt from Powerhouse to gain control of the top and or first floor. So we'll see what they decide to do with themselves. I don't think Hyper is actually going to Bandit battery the garage door unless he runs back downstairs right now. So that leaves that potentially to be opened. It looks like he's running downstairs, so at least they're making that smarter move there and giving him the ability to Bandit trick that as well. Sweater's going to blow out some of that wall and make it a little bit easier to hear if people place a thermite or some Habana pellets onto there. It's a lot easier for Hyper to hear now, so he can potentially attempt to bandit trick that a bit easier, should he decide to do so.
Since most of the picks get revealed, basically every pick but the sixth pick gets revealed, I think Disrupt are sort of saying to themselves, there's a good chance that they don't sixth pick onto a Thatcher. So Hyper can be pretty safe to just put those bandit batteries down and leave, especially if someone is covering piano room. It looks like they have a no, there is no yokai up there, so they don't actually have too much cover onto a piano room, but it's still an extra step that they would have to go through in order to take out those batteries.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which strategy Powerhouse decides to go with. They have the thermite, so their main focus is going to be garage door. They're not going to go for a push from, say, Vista, drop through that hatch and push from server towards kitchen. They're definitely going to be focusing on garage door, so they need to figure out how they're going to get rid of those bandit batteries. But they're not going to be able to push in to try to get a crossfire here for it. They have to try to go upstairs and take them out from up there.
Here we see some vertical play already. As Hyper goes for the peek, doesn't quite get it. C4 to follow it up and still doesn't get the kill. But that means the bandit battery is down and he can no longer go up and try to poke at it and pick up another one. So that's going to be the garage wall falling. Coda actually gets downed, however. He'll have to be picked up, but I think for the most part he's pretty safe in his current position.
Actually, is he down or is he at like 1 health right now? I think he's still standing, but around 1 health.
Oh yeah, he is. He might have withstood himself. That's
There,
a possibility
yeah,
as well.
Possibly. He is going to find Dot Dash now. And it's going to be 5 versus 4 in favor of Powerhouse. We could see this overtime get extended a little bit longer.
We could. Exo manages to get a pick. Hyper gets another one. That's 2 headshots back to back as Powerhouse actually find themselves now on the back foot. Zofia at 1 health still manages to find Sweater hidden behind the van there. Evens that up to a 3v3. 30 seconds left. Powerhouse still need to work out a planting strategy. They don't have any smokes left. Dokubi's down. They don't have an EE1D. The garage door is open. However, there's a mirror window that's looking right into it. So this is going to be a very risky plan no matter what they try. And Flynn is going to go down very quickly, off to a poor rotation in terms of where he decided to go there. See a couple of peeks and Hyper is going for it. He manages to down the Snappy. Bolo picks it off with an evil eye. 5 seconds left and Coda goes down as well. It doesn't look like he withstood yet, but he realizes that there's no use in it now as Disrupt, with a hard-fought victory, take this 2-0.
It was a very tough play for Powerhouse at the end there because they had such low health on their players and they were so out of position for it. They had no safe way of getting into a position where they could go for a plant. There was an evil eye hanging out on one side of the white van, so it would have pushed them around to the other side if they wanted.